So right now everyone is muted since it's all lunchtime. We don't have to hear what we're all having for lunch. If you have a question that you would rather ask through the phone rather than typing, just go ahead and hit that raise hand function or type in the chat box that you would like to ask a question over the phone, and we can go ahead and unmute it so that everyone can do that. I want to thank you again for signing up to watch the webinar. You should receive an email from me, Kirsten at COVA, after the webinar, and that is your proof of attendance. If you are planning to use this webinar for COVA Victim Advocate certification or recertification, you'll need to save that email and submit it with your packet. If you do not receive the email, please contact me at 720-399-8281. If you are watching the archived version on YouTube later, welcome, and we hope you find it informative. Please note that archived webinars may not be used towards COVA certification. And with that, we will turn it over to our presenters.
Thank you, Amy. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. We're excited to present to you on RMvlc, our services, just so you can get to know us a little bit better and learn how to best refer to us. Do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Kelsey Brown. I'm the LINC intake specialist.
And my name is Sarah Kidd. I'm the LINC staff attorney here at RMvlc. In terms of today's training, we're hoping that through today's training you'll learn a little bit more about RMvlc. Again, the different programs that we have and how best to connect to us, what appropriate referrals look like, and when to reach out to us if you're not sure about that. At the end of today's training, we're also going to have a question and answer section. So if questions come up after we've presented about our different programs, feel free to raise your hand, type into the chat box if you have questions.
Yeah, and then before we get started, we're going to do an interactive activity later. But if you could, in the chat box, let us know what common legal issues your clients are experiencing right now. So go ahead and type that in. We'll go back to it. But whatever your clients are currently experiencing as far as legal issues currently, we'd love to hear about it.
Issues that you're just curious about that maybe you've seen in the past and want more information on.
I got a couple of raised hands, so I went ahead and unmuted. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Custody and protective orders I'm seeing.
Okay, that's definitely a common one. Yeah, I mean, definitely anything related to domestic relations is a huge topic area that we talk about and that we experience, in terms of intakes with the clients that we work, the populations that we work with, and the technical assistance that we provide to community and system-based advocates. Protection orders as well is a huge need. You said there was a second raised hand, Amy, or was that both of them?
It looks like we're good. I'm just wondering from my own time doing direct services about if you can sometimes help with any kind of employer or landlord intervention if someone's missed work as a result of having to go to court from being a victim of a reported crime.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So those are great ones, absolutely, and ones that we can definitely talk about when we run through our hypothetical. All right.
Oh, we got one more.
Sure.
One more. Rights of the Youth and DYC, the Division of Youth Corrections, or DYS, I guess we call it now. Services. Yeah.
Rights of Youth. Interesting. Okay.
Okay. That's not one I've seen before, but we can try to include it in our hypothetical. If not, perhaps that would be a good opportunity for service provider technical assistance. You can reach out to us separately, and we're always happy to troubleshoot and research, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. So we're just going to get started. Let's see, let me just type. What's the button type? Okay. All right. I'm sorry, we're having some technical difficulty.
Yay, technology.
Move this over here. Okay.
Well, I am seeing your screen okay in the start of the first slide.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so to start with, we just want to go over the brief history of RMvlc. Obviously, it's a lot more extensive than this, but RMvlc actually began as a program of COVA and was established in 2010 as a 501c3 with the specific focus around providing support with victim rights in criminal cases. 2 years later, in 2012, RMvlc became an OVC wraparound victim legal services site, and just another 2 years later helped launch the Legal Information Network of Colorado program, which is now housed within our organization and we'll talk about in more detail in a little bit.
I also thought it may be helpful to share RMvlc's mission. And so elevates victims' voices, champions victims' rights, and transforms the systems impacting them. So as a note, this was just recently updated this year in 2019 to reflect the additional programs that we've added since we started out just focusing on the Victim Rights Act in criminal cases. And now, as Circuit mentioned, we've expanded our programs, so we wanted to expand our mission to reflect that.
So I'm sure some of you are familiar with the Rocky Mountain Victim Law Center. This is a list of some of the programs that we have. Just as a broad introduction, we are a nonprofit law firm that provides free legal services to crime victims statewide. We have 3 main programs. We have our Victim Rights Legal Services program, our Title IX program, and our LINC, or Legal Information Network of Colorado program. And within the LINC program, we also have Project Attorney Connect, which is one of our newer programs, and it is our contract attorney program. So again, we are statewide. We provide services to clients in every jurisdiction, and the main goal of the work that we do is to make sure that we are increasing in a positive way victim participation in the criminal justice system, and to make sure that victims are being treated with fairness, dignity, and respect as they navigate their cases and as they navigate the criminal justice system. The primary criteria of cases that we work with, or clients that we work with, is primarily victim survivors. There doesn't have to be some kind of crime reported. It just has to be someone who self-identifies as a victim survivor. One of the great things about being a law firm, a nonprofit law firm, is that we share confidentiality and privilege with the victim survivors that we work with. So information that is disclosed to us cannot be shared without that client's permission, and also we have privilege, so we can't be compelled to share information as well. The other great thing about the work that we do and our organization is that we function under a multidisciplinary model. So we have both an attorney and a non-attorney advocate assigned to each and every case that we work with, particularly cases where there is direct representation in both criminal and civil cases. And the great thing about this is that we're able to provide a more holistic approach to serving a client's needs, both non-legal and legal issues. All right, so the first program that we want to talk about is the Victim Rights Legal Services program. This is the program that RMvlc was actually founded upon, and these are some of the main services that we provide under the VRLS program. So the main service that we provide is direct representation for victims of crime to ensure that their rights are being upheld under the Colorado VRA, or the Victim Rights Act. We also do a lot of criminal justice education and support for crime victims throughout the case. If we're not providing direct representation, we can provide support, information, consultations as well. And in addition, we provide technical assistance and case consultation for service providers, both community and system-based. And lastly, one of our big services is providing trainings, which we'll show you a list of the trainings that we do later on. And you can always reach out to us if you're curious about what trainings we're able to provide. So again, the goal of RMvlc is to help make rights of victim survivors as they navigate the criminal justice system meaningful in the moment. It's really important to note that we are not linked in any way to the compliance process. We're not part of the Division of Criminal Justice. They primarily handle the compliance part of criminal cases. And in fact, our goal is really to ensure that victim survivors don't feel the need to make a complaint, and that they're again being treated with fairness, dignity, and respect as they navigate their criminal cases. And particularly in our direct representation cases, one of the really great things that happens with our participation is that, you know, in working with victim survivors, we are a visible presence on behalf of that victim survivor to remind the court the importance of safeguarding the rights of victims just as vigorously as you would safeguard the rights of the defendant. And again, we have privilege, district attorney's offices do not. So it's helpful for us to have that ability to share that information with our clients and to be able to educate them on what information you know, they should and shouldn't share with the district attorney's office that might negatively impact their case. So for purposes of understanding what type of direct representation that we provide or what types of cases you might refer, our bread and butter cases that we see a lot of are related to privacy issues. So privacy issues where, for example, a victim survivor's privilege records are being requested by defense counsel. So under the Victim Rights Act, a victim survivor has the right to be heard, and they also can submit motions to quash that subpoena for their private records. This is something that we see fairly often and something that we've seen a lot of success with. So if you see that happening, feel free to contact us, even if it's just for technical assistance to see what your options are, or send the clients that you're working with us directly to us as well, and we can consult with them. Some additional direct representation issues that we see are, for example, sequestration of a victim survivor, where they otherwise would have the right to be present in the criminal case that they are the named victim in. Under the VRA, they have the right to be present, so that's definitely something that we can also help them file a motion to contest the sequestration within that case. And in addition, we can provide direct representation on restitution issues. That's definitely something that we see pretty often. One important thing to note about direct representation is that when we provide direct representation, it's not for victim survivors who are also named defendants in cases. That's not part of the work that we do, and it's not allowable under the funding that we have. I will note, though, that in those types of cases, if there are issues unrelated to the case where that victim survivor is the named defendant or offender, we can help with those separate issues, typically, depending on what it is. Okay, so again, just a reminder, we're not the compliance people. We just want to prevent victim survivors from having to make VRA or Victim Rights Act complaints, and to help them clearly assert and articulate their rights and to have a voice in the process. A big part of what we do as well is making sure that victim survivors have a good, strong relationship with the district attorneys that they're working with. Oftentimes we can step in to help mend fences and support that relationship by providing clarification or validation or an explanation very simply of what's happening in their criminal case. As you know, oftentimes victim survivors are navigating multiple legal systems as a case progresses. So sometimes it can be very overwhelming and very confusing to be able to differentiate case to case, party to party, attorneys, etc. So sometimes that is a very helpful thing in terms of our role in working with victim survivors. And again, just addressing the holistic needs of victim survivors through our dyad model. We find that, you know, through this model and through this approach, we're able to help victim survivors have an overall better participation in the criminal justice process. And another big part of the work that we do is public policy. So public policy efforts. We are members, several of our staff participate in public policies of 3 different statewide coalitions serving victims of crime, and they're listed right here. And then across the board, across all of our programs, we do provide quite a bit of technical assistance. Technical assistance for, again, service providers, both system-based and community-based advocates. And this is something that is a big part of the work that we do. For service provider technical assistance, this can be done through either emailing us if you have our contact information, emailing us through our website, or calling us directly as well. Or if you see us at a community event or a meeting or something like that, you can always stop and feel free to pull us aside and ask us questions. We're always happy to do that. Typically, we try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours, and we'll let you know if it's any longer than that, if we're backlogged with anything. So some good examples of service provider technical assistance or consultations that we provide to victim service providers, prosecutors, law enforcement, advocates, and others. All of these are related specifically to the Colorado VRA, and a lot of it related to privacy rights. So some of these technical assistance services include strategic practice. I'm just going to pause for a second. I think if everyone could just mute their microphones, I think we might be getting some cross noise. I apologize. That's a little better.
Okay, this is Kirsten. Hang on a second. Let me,
Okay.
We had an attendee who wasn't hearing, and I tried unmuting them.
Okay.
Yeah, we just had a minute of really choppy audio there on that slide, so everyone looks muted again. But if you maybe want to go back into the last minute or so of what you said.
Sure, absolutely, no problem. So we'll start from the top. So a big part of the services that we provide across the board through all of our programs is technical assistance. And typically technical assistance consultations to victim service providers, prosecutors, law enforcement, advocates, and others. A lot of the technical assistance that we provide is directly related to the Colorado VRA, and quite a bit related to privacy issues related to a criminal case. But even within our LINC program, which Kelsey will talk about in a little more detail, we provide technical assistance on civil legal issues, some of them being very obscure. So if ever you have a question and you're not sure, just always feel free to reach out to us. I mentioned at the beginning of the slide, for those of you that didn't hear, we can be reached by email, by telephone, through our website, or if you see us in person at a community meeting or in court or something like that, feel free to stop us. We're always happy to answer questions and try to troubleshoot issues that might be, coming up on your end. So some of the examples of service provider technical assistance or case consultations that we handle on a regular basis include strategic motion practice. So we're able to either jointly file motions with the district attorney's office, file motions separately in support of a victim survivor in a criminal case. And oftentimes, we can also provide assistance to the district attorney's office in either providing case law or ghostwriting motions for the district attorney. We've also done quite a bit of work in amicus curiae briefs, so friend of the court briefs, where there is an issue related to victim issues on appeal after a criminal case is adjudicated. Oftentimes these types of briefs include civil protection orders and jurisdictional issues, and again, when a criminal case has been adjudicated and it's on appeal. So if at any point in your work you're working with a prosecutor and a case is coming up for appeal and there might be victim issues that you see, or perhaps you're not sure, feel free to reach out to us and we can take a look and see if there's anything that we can contribute. And then lastly, within our service provider technical assistance and our consultations is information services and referrals. So that is a big part of the technical assistance work that we do. If we're not able to answer your question, or if there's someone more appropriate and has the expertise to answer those questions, we work very hard to try and curate those referral lists and try to get you to the right people and really make a strong network of service providers. And we're really highly attuned in making sure that we're not duplicating services. So if there's something, again, that expertise that exists outside of our organization, we try our best to refer you over to that other provider. And then the next slide is just an example. I'm not going to read through them, but some of the motions that we have in our motions bank. So again, we can assist with either potentially signing on to a case and or provide sample motions if you or anyone at your agency needs them if you're working with attorneys. And then the next list is our list of trainings. So this is the most updated standard list that we have of frequently requested trainings. Some of the more frequently requested ones are the VRA 101. We actually just added an advanced VRA training. We also frequently train on unauthorized practice of law for non-attorneys, privilege and privacy, as well as CLEs that focus on or continuing legal education for attorneys that focus on trauma-informed legal services. I will also note that the VRA 101 does count towards the VAIL VRA training requirement. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. We typically will have our trainings listed on our website. When we have upcoming trainings as well. You can also contact us if you would like us to train your organization or your agency on a specific topic. We're able to either provide any of the ones that are listed on the standard list, as well as being able to create or tailor trainings to your specific needs. And if at the end of this training you're interested in that, let us know and we can send you an updated PDF list of that.
All right, so I'm going to cover the other two programs that we have in our office. So first is the Title IX program. This program was just added in January of this year, and coming in October, we'll have a fellow that's going to be starting with us, so just in a couple weeks, actually. So the focus of the Title IX program is on supporting survivors on school campuses to know the rights that are afforded to them under Title IX, the options available to them, and then also how to navigate the privacy issues that come with Title IX cases. Mostly we focus on K-12, but when the fellow comes on next month, we're going to start taking on more higher education cases, and that will be their focus. And a lot of our work in this Title IX program is working on accommodations. So how can we help students stay in school free from gender-based violence, rather than civil litigation. So we aren't allowed to do any, or we don't do any Title IX litigation in this program. But we are always happy, as Sirkit mentioned, to do case consultation, technical assistance, if you have questions about Title IX cases that you're seeing. And then the Legal Information Network of Colorado, or LINC. So this is the program that both Sirkit and I work in. And it was designed to be a collaborative network providing confidential, no-cost, comprehensive legal information services for crime victims statewide. So really bringing together all of the legal resources that we have for victim survivors and really making it a more streamlined process so that victims can focus on their recovery and their well-being and not on trying to piece together information from a lot of different sources. Right. So, in 2012, we started the demonstration project that was funded by OVC, and we were one of 10 programs across the United States. And I think there are maybe 12 now that are starting up. So we were one of the first batches, I guess, of demonstration sites. And our first step was doing a needs assessment. So we worked in conjunction with the University of Denver to do a needs assessment to figure out where the gaps in services were for victim survivors. And we were anticipating that we would see that victim survivors needed more access to attorneys or affordable attorneys. And so we thought we would just need to increase the numbers available. But what we actually found was that victim survivors needed access to accurate, reliable legal information before they even know if they need an attorney or not. And so with that in mind, we began this process of trying to bring together legal information that was accurate and comprehensive all into one place. And so we did this in 3 ways. The first is the helpline, which you can see the number listed there. This was a separate phone line, but it now rings to the main RMvlc line. So people can either call the helpline number or they can just call the main RMvlc phone number. And then we also have a website that we created, so coloradolink.org. And on this website, there's a help tool, which is what we will show you in just a few minutes. We'll run through a case scenario with you on that. But we found that victim survivors were going to their offenders' defense attorneys' websites to get legal information. So it wasn't trauma-informed, it wasn't victim-centered. And so that's really what we try to do with this website. And then finally, we have what we call navigators. So this is a network of specially trained navigators who attend a 2-day orientation training to learn how to do advanced legal issue spotting. So the idea is that community-based advocates, system-based advocates, anyone who's working with victims of crime in any way, they can learn how to pick out legal issues and get people connected to the right resources, rather than sending them kind of all around town trying to find the best place for them to land. And something else that we'll note is that we just took LINC statewide in, I believe, October of 2018. And so we're still working on updating our website to include resources outside of the Denver metro area. And the needs assessment was based on the Denver metro area, but we are working to expand our network of navigators and then also expand our referral list and resources list on the website too. So keep that in mind as you're working through that.
Feel free to reach out to us if you see information missing there, or if you have suggestions on what we should include, or if your organization is not listed on there, your agency is not listed on there. We're always happy to take that information and supplement.
So what we will do now is we will run through a case scenario on the website to show you what it looks like and to walk you through a case example using the help tool. So
we're going to minimize this and go to a browser screen, and we're going to use some of the different topic areas that you mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. So there we go. So this is our LINC website. It's coloradolink.org. One really important thing to note if you are referring to victim survivors to our website is this is the first screen that will pop up, and it's a safety alert. A lot of websites from similar providers have this safety feature on it, with just a note that you can click the escape button, which is right here on the top right corner of the website at any point if they're browsing and they just need to X out very quickly for any reason.
Yeah, so I think we'll run through some common legal issues that we see in our office, which are actually a lot of the legal issues that you all noted. So we see a lot of domestic violence issues where there are custody cases or family law cases, protection orders in place, housing issues with needing to break a lease or having landlord disputes, and then also with employment protections. So we'll try to wrap all of those things into this one scenario. So stick with us. This might be as complex as your clients are experiencing, so we'll try to get all of those tools there. So the first thing that you do on this page is you can click try out our help tool, and it will open up a new page.
This page is accessible to the public, so either the victim survivors that you're working with can access it, or you as an advocate can access it as well.
Yeah, and then we'll hit get started, and then we'll start plugging in some answers to this. So the very first question, we will say we need help, but we don't know where to start, and that will give us a lot of options. If you have someone who just needs housing information and they know that, you can click on the I need help with a specific legal need button and then enter housing, and it will take you straight to those resources. But for today, we'll say we don't know where to start.
And we'll click continue. And one other thing to note very quickly is at the top right of this, the screen of the browser box, you'll see an option to finish and get summary. So if you're working through, these questions and you just want to get the information, the resources, the referrals, you can just click very quickly, and it will generate your summary or your report just from that point on. Sorry about that.
Okay, we will just roll with it. Okay. So have you been harmed in some way? So the interesting thing, aside from this question, on all of these questions that we go through, if you select I'm not sure, if the victim survivor selects I'm not sure, it will automatically include all of the options. So if they're not sure, we're just going to give them the information anyway, and then they can decide what's helpful for them or not. So in this question, we will say, yes, we've been harmed in some way. And then continue. And then it will ask you how. Again, if you say you're not sure, it will populate for all of the answers. So that's kind of a safe bet if you're not quite sure how to name it, or if you're like, I think all of these apply, you can select them all or say, I'm not sure. So we'll do that for this one. And then there's this nice list of legal issues. And so we will go ahead and select as many, that we think.
So custody is one that was mentioned, and definitely one that is very, very common. Civil protection orders, we get lots of calls on. Child support within a domestic relations case. Sometimes, you know, in relation to a criminal case, there might be a DNN case brought as well. Divorce is one that we're seeing quite a bit as well. And then employment issues, you all mentioned, definitely one that we see very often. And then landlord-tenant issues as well is probably one of the bigger ones that we see within the LINC program. So we'll click on all of those.
And then I don't know if you could see it, but if we scroll back up, so as we were adding legal issues, more help topics were populating as we clicked them. So if you click on one of the help topics, it will take you to that page on the website where you can read more about that issue. So for example, if we click on dependency and neglect, it will take you right to the info page to kind of walk you through what dependency and neglect is, for example. And then there's also on the same help tool page, there's the Get Help tab, and that's where it populates resources. So this will give you the phone numbers, the organizations that you can call to get help with these issues.
It will also link to their website.
And if we keep going, so it's telling us that it's done pulling all of our resources. So you can just say, nope, we will go straight to our summary, or you can answer some questions if you would like. It's totally fine to just say, no, thank you, take me to my summary. So we'll do that. And then here's the results page. So this, again, this is just a compiled list of everything that was popping up on the right side as we were adding legal issues. The nice thing about this page is that it's all in one place, and you can see on the right side, you can email the summary either to yourself or to the victim survivor if you're walking them through it. Or if it's not safe to email them those things, you can also print off a report, and it makes it easy. It kind of puts it all in one place for them, so they're not trying to write down notes on different websites or different phone numbers, all of that stuff. So this is where that comprehensive legal information part comes into play on the LINC website.
The last thing is, if let's say you or the client that you're working with is moving through the website, perhaps has a better understanding of some of the needs or the issues that they're dealing with now, and they want to start from the beginning and narrow down their report a little bit more, they can restart the survey and start from scratch. So that's always an option. Or if let's say you get to the end and perhaps the questions that you answered weren't quite as accurate as you needed them to be, and the report that you got generated wasn't very helpful, you can again start from the beginning. So before we go back to the presentation, does anyone have any questions about the tool? We'll just take a second. All right. Doesn't look like anyone's typing in the chat box. So again, we'll have a Q&A section at the end, so you can always ask your questions then as well, or reach out to us separately. Oh, sorry about that. We're just going to scroll. Pardon. Okay.
All right. So then finally, we mentioned earlier we have this Project Attorney Connect, which lives under the LINC program. So this is a new project that we just started this year, and we modeled it after the Project Safeguard Lawyers for Victims program. So we have grants and funding to pay for attorneys to provide limited representation or consultation to victims in cases related to housing and post-decree legal issues. We definitely have seen an uptick in post-decree cases coming into our office, and there's certainly a need for more resources in this area. And so that's where a lot of our work with Project Attorney Connect is directed.
And a quick note about post-decree. So for those of you who are not attorneys who haven't worked with these types of cases, post-decree is typically where there is some kind of prior court order, for example, custody orders or divorce orders that have already been adjudicated by the court. So it has to be post-decree. Pre-decree would be, for example, where custody hasn't been decided and or a victim survivor is looking for help with divorce, an initial divorce.
Yeah, and most often with the post-decree cases, we see like wanting to do a modification of parenting time, modification of child support, those sorts of things. That's the modification piece that's really important to latch onto as you're trying to figure out if it's post-decree or pre-decree. But also, we're happy to walk through that with you or the victim survivor. So we initially, kind of in the early years of this project, we're more focusing on the Front Range, but we are hoping to expand it, like I said, across the state. A lot of our attorneys are able to do phone consultations or work over Zoom or whatever internet platform they have to work with clients. So we're certainly not limited to just the Front Range, but we are still building our network of attorneys, which has grown immensely in the last few months, which is super exciting. But to get connected to the Project Attorney Connect attorneys, the clients go through our normal Rocky Mountain Victim Law Center intake process. So during the intake process is when we determine, this sounds like a really great post-decree case for Project Attorney Connect. We'll get you connected to the right person. So if you feel like you have a client who has some post-decree legal needs and you want to send them to this project, just send them to the main RMvlc intake process, which we'll go over shortly, and then we'll get them connected that way. Something else that we designed this project to address is our legal conflict cases, particularly in rural areas. So for example, in a small town where there's maybe one family law attorney, or maybe not family law, what's a different example? I don't know. There's one attorney for like 5 counties, and the offender will call that attorney first and get a consultation, and then the victim is conflicted from getting services from that attorney. And so they aren't able to find one in their area that can help them. And so that's a legal conflict case that we might be able to provide more support with in our network. It doesn't have to be family law necessarily.
That is one of the more common ones where that scenario happens. Okay.
So here is the referral process for sending people to RMvlc. So you can call or email. Again, you can call the LINC helpline number, the RMvlc main phone number, or on our website, you can email us through there. And those all come into one main line, and we will call you within 2 business days to set up an intake phone call. Or we'll call the client, whoever contacts us. And then during that intake phone call, you can expect it to be about 20 to 30 minutes. We'll gather basic case information and try to figure out how we can, or what the needs are of the victim survivor. So we might ask them like what their goals are, what specific legal needs they have. And if they aren't able to pick through all that's going on because of trauma, or if there's just so much to manage, we can help them kind of prioritize what they're looking for out of working with us. And then we'll share with them what they can expect next from us, which is we take everything to a case review with our multidisciplinary team. We discuss the attorneys and non-attorneys. Are we the best place for this? Is there someone already doing this type of work? And if not, how can we help this person? Is it a Project Attorney Connect case? Is it something where we just need to call the DA's office and try to set up a meeting? Like, how can we help this person move forward? And then the client can expect follow-up from our office within 1 to 2 weeks after that initial intake phone call. So because of this timeline, it's really important when you send folks to us that if they have something that's super urgent, they have a court hearing coming up at the end of the week and you send them to us on Monday, we likely won't be able to help them with that court hearing by the end of the week, just because of the timeline of our process. So there is some waiting time. And so if you are sending people to us, just make sure that you let them know that they may or may not get a response quickly. And they, for example, if they're facing like an eviction and it's on their door and they need out by tomorrow, we probably won't be able to help them. And so it's best to do some other problem solving, use the help tool on our website to get those resources in the moment rather than sending them through the whole intake process and us not being able to help them in time.
And then also feel free to reach out to us again through any of those avenues that we mentioned if you do have something urgent like that coming in. Sometimes it's helpful for us to know, and we can try to move things around to accommodate it. Can't always promise that, but we do our best, and we can also troubleshoot with you potential options for that person if they have some kind of emergency pending. One other thing that is really helpful in the referral process when you are sending clients to us is to make sure that they have all of their case information ready for both the initial call and the intake, so that there's no lag time in gathering that information. So we're able to have all of the court docket information if we have to look things up, do conflict checks on our end, because again, we are a law firm. So that definitely helps, whittle down the time a little bit in terms of us being able to process the case and respond appropriately.
Perfect. And then this, as we mentioned earlier, this is kind of a flashback to the training slide earlier, but we did want to point out we have an upcoming trauma-informed legal services webinar that's coming up on Tuesday, October 1st, and the registration link is on our website under the trainings tab. And then I also mentioned that 2-day orientation training for our navigators. The next one is coming up next Monday and Tuesday, and we will be down in Pueblo at the DA's office. So if you are interested in that, the info is also on our website. Or if you know people down in Pueblo, definitely send them our way. And we are going to be planning more trainings like this across the state, and hopefully another one in the metro area in the next year. So keep an eye out for those. Feel free to contact me if you have questions about that. I'm the person that plans those 2-day trainings. And I'd love to talk to you more about what those can look like.
With that, do we have any questions? All right. It doesn't look like we have anyone typing into the chat box now, but on this next slide is our contact information if you want to take that down. It's also on our website as well. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about today's presentation, about cases you might want to refer to us, about issues that you're troubleshooting with. And I would ask the participant that asked about rights of youth and DYS, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to troubleshoot that with you and or do some research and see what help we can provide on that end. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.